If you're in search of a premium and easy way to get some better sound and clearance for your 2020 or newer 3.6 liter JT Gladiator, this Injen high-tuck single exhaust system will be the way to do it. Now, getting right into the sound of this system, this will come in at a 3 out of 5 on the loudness meter, with 1 being stock and 5 being wake the neighbors loud. Now, that's going to be great for the JT owner looking for a mild volume increase without being pretty overbearing or over the top, and maintaining a comfortable cab environment for when you're cruising or enjoying a longer ride. Now, not to mention, the high-tuck design will also do wonders when taking your Gladiator off-road, allowing you better clearance compared to your factory exhaust system. Now, this will feature an over-axle, no-tip design, which will increase your underbody clearance off-road and minimize any potential damage. This will also have a free-flow design, offering 5 horsepower and 5 pound-feet of torque gains, which you will feel in those higher RPM ranges and in your throttle response. Now, that free-flow design will help when it comes to sound as well, offering a deeper exhaust note without an excess of volume. Now, this will be made of a full 304 stainless steel construction, which is going to offer that pretty look that you see here out of the exhaust, but also incredible rust resistance when it's mounted underneath the truck. Now, this is going to be fully mandrel-bent for smooth and direct airflow, and 3 inches in size, so you can ensure that you're getting better airflow compared to your smaller factory exhaust system. Now, one thing to note here is that this system is going to be built incredibly well. You can tell that there's a lot of detail and quality, especially in the welds here, so that's one thing I would keep in mind when looking for a premium exhaust system. This is going to have it when it comes to those details. Now, in the middle, this will include a straight-through style muffler, again responsible for that sound and small power increase. This will also include factory-style hangers and mount in all the factory locations for an incredibly straightforward install. Now, this will come in at roughly $950, making this more of a premium option for a high clearance exhaust system, but again, for good reason. Now, what really makes this kit shine is the full 304 construction, which will last an incredibly long time while boasting a good sound and overall great performance thanks to the overall design. Now, I think if you're in search of that high clearance aspect to an exhaust system and you're looking for one that you can count on, then this is a great option to go with. Now, like I said, the install is going to be straightforward. I am going to give it a lighter 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, but it should only take you about 2 hours to get the job done. Now, speaking of the install, one of our customers here has actually installed this on their Gladiator, and it's going to walk you through what that process looks like step by step. So that's going to wrap it up for me. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Standard floor jack. Definitely want it to get the height that you need to get under there, make the job easier. Some reliable jack stands, a pair would be fine. Some good wheel chucks, battery powered impact driver. If you don't opt to use that, I also use a air powered ratchet for kind of hard to reach spots. If you don't have those tools readily available, any regular 3/8 half-inch drive ratchets would work. A breaker bar that fits the socket drive that you use, but you need in these for sockets, you'll need a 10 millimeter, a 13 millimeter, a 15 millimeter. You'll need a 15 millimeter deep socket. You'll need an 18 millimeter deep socket, and you'll need a 13/16. This is the handle crank set from my jack that came with my Jeep. Just some good penetrating oil, a flat blade standard screwdriver. Just used to remove the clamp, the factory clamp. It's got a retainer on it, so you just need that for that. And just a pair of pliers to remove the rubber protectors on the end of the isolator brackets is all you really need. First step, we're going to chock the vehicle. I don't have the flattest of ground to start with. There's a small slope on my driveway, so I'll bring the rear of the truck up the hill. I'm going to chalk and jack. Once we have the rear of the vehicle jacked, we're going to place 2 jack stands directly under the frame. And those will be under the driver and passenger side of the vehicle, making sure the frame is centered on the jack stands and lower. Yeah. Once these are secured in place, centered, solid, and sound, I lower my jack. I keep my jack in place as a safety precaution. I just want to hit each clamp that I'm going to have to undo with a good penetrating oil. So this time it'll have a little time to soak. So one in the front, which will be just behind the Y pipe and just in front of your first resonator muffler. If you look at your transfer case, it'll be right in line with your transfer case. All right, the instruction sheet that come with the engine exhaust. So your first step is they want you to lower your spare tire, remove the heat shield next to that spare tire, and the intermediate bracket, which would be towards your transfer case. I'll show you in the video in a few. But according to lower your rear tire, you'll have to go under your passenger side rear seat and grab your jack kit out of there to use the winch wrench that'll go in through the bumper to lower your rear tire. Okay, as I stated, this is your jack setup. It's underneath your passenger side rear seat. You flip it up. There's a 13/16 nut, wing nut retainer that holds that in place from rattling. Mine was a little tight, so I just used the ratchet to break it loose. Once I did that, you can loosen it right up to get it out. Once it's out, you can remove your winch wrench, which is basically your lug wrench. So I've taken the pouch out. It's Velcro to the jack, and these pieces will come out of that pack. Couple to actuate your jack. You've got a lug wrench. You've got one end. It's kind of a square opening like this. All right, and that's the end that will go into the winch on the back bumper. The entrance for the winch, your spare tire winch, will be on your passenger side. Just to the right of your license plate, you'll see a rubber grommet. That's the end you'll insert in. It'll grab, just counterclockwise. Crank it all the way down. The tire rests and the cable's loose. Each cable comes down and through the hub in your wheel. There's a metal flat plate. If you turn it sideways, it'll pull right up and out from the tire. All right, your spare tire heat shield. Once your spare tire's out of the way, you'll find it attached to your driver's side frame in front of your muffler. This is held in place with 1, 2, 3, 4. There'll be 5 10mm screws. Remove those screws. You have to remove the 2 front bolts. There's 3 more facing forward. And that will remove the heat shield. Okay, back toward the front of the vehicle. I'm underneath the driver's side here. It's my transfer case. This is that clamp that I used, that I sprayed earlier. It's basically the only clamp you'll need to remove the exhaust system to replace. This bracket here is kind of like a big T shape. There's 4 18mm bolts in it into the frame. You don't need to remove the big cross member, just this T portion here. So it's 4 bolts, 2 in the front, 2 in the rear, 18mm. Passenger. Two, 3. Or now I have a 13 millimeter that just is one of the bolts that goes into the skid, and that'll bring down your intermediate bracket. Okay, so we're back up in the front of the vehicle. We're looking at the main clamp at the transfer case. This clamp is the factory clamp that you'll reuse with the new system, the new engine system. Your first piece of pipe will come from here and work its way toward the rear. It's just a 13 millimeter socket that we use to remove this clamp. And like I said, I sprayed it earlier, so it should come right with. All right, so the clamp is loose. I backed it out nearly all the way, so we should have enough room to drop this exhaust system now from where it is. The only thing should be holding this place in the old system in place is some rubber bushing. So what I'm going to do is just grab farthest resonator muffler, wiggle the system, and it should come back a couple inches. Okay, after we've pulled and slid the system back, we're going to find that this isolator just above the rearmost muffler resonator toward the tailpipe runs out of space, so we cannot bring the system back far enough to drop it down. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this isolator. There's two 13 millimeter bolts that just go up and in through the frame. That's one. That's two. And as you can see, the system pretty much dropped out of its way all by itself. Just sliding that isolator off the exhaust system. Show you what that looks like. Two bolt holes that go up through the frame. So I'd like to get as close to middle as I can, centered on it. I'm going to slide it back gently, and it should come right free. Come into the back of the vehicle, I'm going to lift the resonator muffler up, keep it sliding forward and over the hump. It looks to be out. We have the system off, and we're back up at the clamp at the front that bolts in. And you can see there's like a little stainless stirrup that kind of holds that piece in place. It's just a little metal hook inside. You just bend it out slightly with a standard screwdriver. Clamp should wiggle free. Like so. The new kit does not come with this clamp. It comes with the other two clamps, but these tend to be fussy with their mate, so it's smart that you use the original one. So this clamp that originally comes with, you're gonna have to loosen it completely. Give it a little spread to open it. Okay, I've actually taken the nut itself off of the screw to give myself some room. I'm gonna slide this piece over the new pipe. Okay, and again, this tab is going to face toward the rear of the vehicle, and this piece should slide right up over that. Okay, I'll let that pipe hang down, put my nut back in, my screw, bolt. Just take the nut, and the flat side of this flat side goes down, not up. Nestle it up in, and then just get it hand tight. This whole system is going to be hung basically hand tight. We'll get everything in place, and then we'll tighten it down, checking for clearances. Let's grab the next piece. Okay, short end goes toward the rear of the vehicle. Okay, as you can see, isolator mount. Let's go into your midship. Isolator mount bracket. This is the stainless band clamp that comes with the system. I myself prefer to have the bolt side of the clamp up when I bolt it all up. It gives it a much cleaner look. So I'm going to pre-install this just on here, but I'm going to look to make sure I have clearance, so when I put this together, I wouldn't be able to fit my tools on this side. I can fit the tools better toward midship, so toward the center of the vehicle. So that's how I'm going to set that up. I'm going to take my intermediate pipe, and it should slide right in, as it does, no problem at all. Work it up. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. So I'm balancing this muffler with one hand. Try and get you a better angle here. Alright, so I have the muffler. I'm going to just kind of press it up. I'm going to balance it with one hand and sit it in the isolator. Just get it started. Okay, so now it's pretty much holding its own weight. I'm going to pick up this intermediate pipe. I'm just going to get it so I can slide that in there, and it should hang right down like so. Again, make sure you have your clamp ready to go. And like I said, I set my clamp up, I orientated it so I'll hide the nuts. I'll be able to access the mechanical side of this clamp from here. I wouldn't have enough room on this side, so that's why I installed this clamp the way I did. Okay, so when it spins around, I'll have enough room. So right now we're at midship. I'm gonna let this hang down. Here's that third and final piece. This will be your tailpipe. Okay, this goes up and over the hump, connects to your muffler, and then this is where I would guess they got the high tuck name from, because it gets it up tight and out of the way, so you have all your rock clearance, your departure angles are not affected by this exhaust. Anyways, this is our third and final piece. We're gonna have one more clamp for this, which is here. Again, these little rubber grommets, basically they put these as protectors on the ends of each isolator mount. I've removed those just with a pair of pliers that come off. They're on there pretty firmly though. Okay, so your rear isolator that we removed will be on this after. Okay, we're gonna take this clamp. Comes with the kit. What I'm going to do, slide that onto the pipe. Okay, once it's on the pipe, we pick up the pipe, and again, not really heavy at all. The whole job is really a one-man job. I'm just going to take it and I'm going to slide that bracket. So once it's on there, it should hang without any problem at all. The included clamp kind of slid off when I was sliding in, so again, remembering my orientation, I can verify better from where I am that the mechanical side of the nut is probably easier accessed from the passenger side, but now that I look, it could go from either side. So this clamp can be placed either way. So I position myself under the vehicle where I can get, when I swing this muffler up, I'll be able to use my knee to hold it up. And it just balances right on my knee without any problem at all. And at the same time, I can reach under. Now this is if you're doing the install alone. If you got two guys, it's a whole lot easier. But I can take this tailpipe now and slide it right off the isolator. I can get it inserted into the muffler. And this is the part that's tricky. So you gotta get this muffler up high enough so you can kind of access both at the same time. Once you get it, slide them into each other. And that's it. Try to get that slid in as far as I can. Okay. Right now, this whole exhaust system is basically hanging itself. It's loose. I got my clamps in place. You can definitely wiggle it around a little bit, which is good. That's what you want. Okay, you don't want to tighten anything up until you get everything in place. Once everything's in place, you can make sure every little clearances are good, everything's nice and tight, and then we'll slowly work our way through and tighten everything up as you see. Here's that tailpipe, okay? And you got your isolator mount, which is right here, okay? And all these isolator mounts fit perfectly with the factory original location. So I'm just gonna slide this one on, nice and easy, and line it up with there's like an index hole. Just line that up on there, and those two 13mm bolts, I'm just going to work those in hand tight. All right, well, we've got the whole system in place. Everything's just hand tight right now. I'm going to go through now and start tightening down the fasteners. Just snug for now, so we can make final adjustments. So again, with our 13mm up front, we're going to start with this front clamp. I'm going to get it orientated as it was from the factory. Just enough so you can still, if you have to wiggle it and you have to make adjustments, those can be made. Okay, we're now at the second clamp on the system. This one here is a 15 millimeter. And I'm just going to have the clamp a slight bit of a reveal on the pipe. So just like a good 1/8 inch of a reveal, maybe a little bit more. And again, just snug so you can still work the system and move it around. Should be nice and flat. Now we're gonna go check the clearance on the rear. Okay, so I'm back at the rear of the vehicle and we've snugged up the clamps just can tight. The two front clamps, that'd be the factory original clamp from the Y pipe to the engine intermediate pipe, and then from the engine intermediate pipe to the engine muffler pipe. Those clamps have both been snugged up just can tight. Now what I want to see is that this all tailpipe, everything, all clearances are fine. There's enough room between everything. Nothing is hitting on any frame members, anything like that. And if everything is good, which it looks to be great at this point, I'm going to move back up to the intermediate clamp and I'm going to tighten that up. All right, we're here at the rear at the beginning of the tailpipe, and again, this is that clamp that comes with the kit. I'm going to orientate my clamp mechanism toward the top so it's not so readily seen, and using my 15 millimeter socket, I'm going to leave about an 1/8 inch reveal between the back of the clamp and the edge of the pipe itself. So we're just snug with it all, but you can still manipulate the system if you need to. So any adjustments, fine adjustments you can make, you can still do them with minimal effort. Well, we're going to go back now, start all the way at the front, and we'll snug everything down and lock everything in. So we verified everything, we've snugged everything down gently. The system is still, you can still manipulate the system, but now I'm going back to my 13 millimeter socket onto the factory original clamp. We're going to tighten this down. Now we're at the next clamp in line, which is the engine clamp, and we're going to snug that down, making sure the whole system is flat. And again, just snug. This way it's solid and shouldn't shift at all. Tightening sequence, we're at the engine clamp, just past the engine muffler, which attaches to the engine tailpipe. Snug that down. And we are tightening these clamps down with a 15 millimeter. You're going to need a deep socket for these because the clamp will, the bolt hardware will, it's too deep for a regular socket. And the last part of the exhaust install itself that needs to be tightened is this rear isolator just above the tailpipe mouth. So we're just going to go in where our 13 millimeter. We've installed the system at this point. We've snugged down all three clamps. Snug down the rear isolator. Everything on the exhaust system itself should be snug and tight. Before I replace the mid support and the heat shields and the spare tire and all these things that we removed, I like to fire it up, let it run to temperature. We can check it for leaks and still access everything fairly well. This is kind of a give and take here. When you do this, you do heat up the exhaust, so if it does, once it's hot, if you do find a leak, you just have to be a little more careful. Be cognitive not to burn yourself when you go to tighten down or snug down, eliminating any leaks. So at this point, we've made the install itself. Still got to replace all the factory hardware that we had to remove to make the install. We fired up the system, no leaks. You got kind of a sneak peek of what it sounds like. It sounds really rad. Everything's tight, everything's snug. Okay, let's reinstall the mid bracket. Right up here. Got this 13mm nut. Hold that. We've got our 18mm bolts. Go up and through the frame. We've got two, one toward the front, one toward the back, that 13mm, and then on the other side, we have the two other 18mm bolts. Take the 18mm socket, snug these babies down. And last but not least, the 13mm. So the midship bracket is back installed. Sound. Alright, let's reinstall the heat shield in the rear using the 10mm hardware. Last 10mm, kind of tucked up behind the tailpipe. It's really hard to see. I'll try my best to get you a view of it. Not a lot of room. That's the toughest one, so you know. All right, let's snug these down. Go two by the tire. So we've snugged all these heat shield bolts down. One here. These are both on the tire side. And you've got a couple hidden up here. And there's one, two on a stud down on this end here. On this end right there. And crank this baby right back up again. Double checking, make sure she snuggles in right, nothing's in the way. They usually just hang and drop right into place. Snug. We're good. All right. So at this point, we're finished up. The only thing we have left to do is jack it up. We'll jack up the Jeep, remove the jack stands, lower it down. We'll take her for a ride.
So that's going to wrap it up for my review and the install of this Injen high-tuck single exhaust system fitting all 2020 and newer 3.6 liter JT Gladiators. And remember, for all things Gladiator, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.